Would you please welcome Wendy Thomas?
Oh, I guess you should take that. Wow. It is a tremendous honor to be here tonight with a room of my peers and to see just all of you filling the forney. We did it. And it's a real honor to be with you. And as I look around this room, I see a lot of familiar faces, and it's really good to see you. I also see a lot of friends that we haven't had a chance to meet yet, and that is really exciting. So just a hearty hello to each and every one of you. We are absolutely delighted that you're here. So we are the Women's Fund, El Dorado, and this is our annual membership celebration. Yeah, Paul. Now, as we saw earlier, a few of you have been members from the very beginning. Many have joined us along the way, and like Robin told us, in 8 years we've grown from 12 members to 400. Now, some of you are new tonight. Maybe you've been invited by a friend and you have no idea what the Women's Fund is all about. Some of you may have heard about us, but you just haven't gotten around to checking us out further, so we're really glad you're doing that tonight. Some of you may be looking for ways to make an impact in your community. Then there's some of you tonight that life's dealt you some challenges, and while you're really happy you're here, you maybe feel like you're stretched just a little too thin to make an impact at this time in your life. I love that we are all at different phases of this journey called life. And wherever you are, it's a place of blessing, despite the circumstances you may be confronting, if you trust the goodness at hand. And those are the substance of my remarks tonight. And let me share with you how I came into the Women's Fund. I've had a little firsthand experience with this. It was at a time in my life when I was just about at my lowest. Now, I probably looked all put together on the outside, but on the inside, I was a hot mess. I really was. I was a hot mess. I was in the middle of a sad divorce after 24 years of marriage. I was a sole supporter for 2 teenage daughters, one which was in college, without a state tuition. The house was up to me to maintain, and it was the height of the recession, so I had to sit on it for a while. So needless to say, at the end of the month, there was nothing left over, and I mean less than nothing. And it was a really challenging time, and it would have been very tempting for me to stay in a depressed state, overwhelmed by what I didn't have, overwhelmed by what I had lost. And yet we always have a choice. We can curse our circumstances and see ourselves victimized by them, or we can choose to focus on what we do have, what is right and good in our life. We can focus on what's right and good in our life. We can look for seeds of progress that, if nurtured and cultivated, can take root and grow in our lives. Maybe there are some talents that we need to hone and polish. Maybe there are some relationships that we need to invest in. Maybe there are some new doors that we need to have the courage to open. And that's where I was, and it was decision time. And at this time, I realized that I had long suppressed a desire to be on the Placerville City Council. Now, who doesn't really, right? I'm a little weird that way. And it's funny, I remember the moment this long suppressed desire came back to me. I was driving down Highway 50, and I think I passed a City of Placerville sign, and I remembered this long-awaited desire. And I realized that what had stopped me in the past from fulfilling this goal was no longer a part of my life. And so I was free to embark on that goal. And I got excited. I got excited for the first time in a really long time, and it felt so damn good. And yet, on the heels of that thought, came another thought strongly, that this was not the time to embark on that goal. Who did I think I was? I was not worthy of that position because my life wasn't all in order. I didn't have it figured out. That was ridiculous. And I had to choose which thought was going to activate my life. I had to choose what I was going to hold on to. And so I chose to move forward. I chose to strengthen the talents that I had, even though they were weak at the time, even though they weren't much, they weren't all spit and polished. Even though other areas of my life were still a mess, I chose to move forward because I didn't want to stay where I was. And it was at this time that I was invited to this annual celebration of the Women's Fund by Carl and Pam Hagen. They were so good to me at this time in my life. And I remember the evening. I think it was an elegant evening at the Serrano Country Club. I think Carl was even in a tux, looking mighty handsome. And I remember the dichotomy I felt inside me, because even though I looked like I belonged there, I cleaned up pretty well, I didn't feel like I belonged there because of my crushing financial situation. I felt like such a failure, and yet I was there anyway. And then the program started, and I remember Katie Peak being honored for her concept of the Women's Fund in El Dorado. And I was in awe of her gracious, generous, visionary spirit, and it inspired me. And I said, I want to be like Katie Peak someday. I got a vision. I also remember Susie Davies being honored for her amazing work at Moore Workshop, and hearing of the countless other nonprofits that are supported in our community because of your $200 gift. And I was in awe that such a relatively small gift could do such amazing things in our community, and I had to be a part of it. So I walked over to the membership table and I saw Vera. Where are you, Vera? There you are. And I wrote out my $200 check, knowing that I would have to make sacrifices that week to cover it, and I did it anyway. So sometimes we have to step out in faith and use what's at our disposal at the moment. That's blessing what we have. It starts with recognizing what we have at the moment, finding what's good in our life, finding what's good in us, and using it. Now, it might not be in much. It might not be enough for next week or next month. I guarantee you, it most certainly will not be enough to accomplish all your goals in the future. But it's enough for right now, and that's good enough. Trust is an important factor here. And if you think about it, we never get to see where we're going, do we? We never get the luxury of a peek around the corner to see how everything's going to work out. We have to step out in faith. As we move, as we step forward, ideas come. As ideas come, our confidence builds a little. As our confidence builds, our skill set expands. As we expand, so do opportunities, all because we had the courage to take that first step. I recently heard a story that illustrates this really well. There was a young man named Toby. Now, Toby had Down syndrome, and he was able to get a job at a grocery store as a bagger. Now, one day after work, Toby went to his dad, and he had an idea. He wanted to put something uplifting in everyone's grocery bag. And so every night he would come home, and he and his dad would think of a word, and his dad would painstakingly help him type them onto a page. They'd print them and cut them. And Toby would go to work with about 200 or 300 words each day. As he bagged the groceries, he'd tell his customers, I put in a good word for you, and I hope it brightens your day. A little time passed, and the manager noticed that Toby's line was consistently long. One day, Toby's line went all the way to the frozen food section. So being the efficient manager that he was, he got on the intercom and said, well, there's no waiting in the other lines. No one moved. They were there for Toby's word of the day. Now, it would have been real easy for Toby to feel that just because just about everyone else in the world was smarter, richer, more accomplished than he was, that he didn't have anything to give them. It would have been real easy for him to think that because he was disadvantaged, that people should give to him. That's not what Toby thought. He thought he had a good idea, and he acted on it. And that sent waves of blessing through that grocery store, and thereby waves of blessing in the community. And all because he acted on what he had. And isn't that what the Women's Fund does? Your annual gift of $200 is used to heap love and support on all the good works being done right here in our own backyard. And I love that. Your gift stays here. I'm sorry. Just $200 a year. Let's break that down. It's 55 cents a day. It's maybe one trip to Starbucks in a week. It's a meal for two at McDonald's in a month. It's one trip to Off-Broadway in a year. Well, I may have spent a little more than that yesterday at Off-Broadway, but don't tell my husband. Oh, shoot, he's here. Just $200 a year. In the last 8 years, as you heard from Robin, your gift has supported 26 local nonprofits. We've given out 46 grants totaling about $352,000, and we have an endowment fund of about the same amount, which gives us strength and stability. And in addition to that, the Women's Fund administers 2 El Dorado Community Foundation grants. The Wickline Scholarship, that helps women who are recovering from personal hardship achieve their degree, their goal of a vocational degree or a bachelor's degree. There's also the Lighthouse Fund, which gives gifts of up to $500 to women to help with medical bills for themselves and their children. In 2 years, we've given out $12,500 worth of gifts to pay for medical bills that these women wouldn't be able to pay. I mean, that's amazing. That's what your $200 gift does. Now, speaking of that, you may be surprised to know that there are actually 2 kinds of memberships at the Women's Fund. There's the $200 I've been telling you about, and then there's a Pioneer membership, which is actually a gift of $1,000 a year. Now, it can be one lump sum, or you can pay monthly. And yet here, I love that here at the Women's Fund, membership is not a status symbol. You are never going to hear a call for all the Pioneer members to please stand up, making everyone else feel just a little less than. Not here. You're also never going to know who's a Pioneer member and who isn't. Members are listed on our website by name only. I like that. All gifts are equal. It's a gift, freely given, generously accepted, used generously to bless. And you know, as women, we're made to do that. We're nurturers. We care for those around us, don't we? We're courageous. We are undeterred by danger and difficulty if something is important. We're cheerleaders. We are cheerleaders for other people who are bold enough to put their time and passion and resources in service to our community. As women, we're resourceful. We can accomplish a lot with a little. We're leaders in business, in the home, and in the community, and we're champions for people on our team. As women, we're also engaging and gracious. We like to make others feel welcome and at home. We can multitask and we can handle pressure, which helps us lead purposeful lives. We're driven, passionate, loyal, compassionate. Qualities that make us incredibly beautiful. And we're savvy enough to know that 50 Shades of Gray is not referring to our hair color, but to the spicy, adventurous spirit inside us. We're the women of El Dorado County, and we're pretty doggone incredible. And when we get to united for a common goal, we accomplish incredible things. So welcome to the Women's Fund, and thank you so much for making such a beautiful difference in our community.